Okay, this week we're going to talk about where are all the fun people and the cute and geeks and the funny hardcore people. And some of them are actually in my shelf because I have a lot of books from very interesting things. Even one book that it's over there, where you would be invited to write an entire operating system, page after page. So, what I mean with that short is there was a point in time where hacking was about optimization, hacking into a code, taking something important and saying it worked, tweaked it, and spend an ungodly amount of time on something. I was somewhat introduced to the Linux and Unix environment, somewhat in that way. Here's the operating system, figure everything out. See ya. Um, and it led me where I am today. So I don't think that it was somewhat the wrong way. Sometimes I wish it had someone to help me out along the way, take a few questions, but internet was not a thing. So later on, when we started having RIC, things changed slightly for faster and resources were actually more available. But regardless of that, you had to work a lot to get anywhere. Now these days things are easier in some cases are actually better in a way. So, but there's also the paper that changed everything, at least for me. So the paper from Alpha One where you get the first overflow. That thing just rang all kinds of bells, and that's a result of a pretty hardcore and a lot of time and imagination and crafty thinking on a particular topic. I don't see that as much these days. Freshly out of Black Hat Europe, I had an amazing support by my team and everyone else that was around, and a pretty funny bunch that endured 4 days of the crazy Portuguese. I usually say how I usually say during the training. 4 intense days. Not that topics are too. It is advanced infrastructure, but we can't push too much, can we? We need to find a middle ground between the people that are curious enough and want to update themselves, and everyone else that's in SOC starting to begin, because no one signs up for basic training, right? Um, in between, but the course is pretty interesting. We're going to put a few updated things, publicities aside, for next year. Now, that usually leads me into I wish I could put this, or I wish I could put that. And I need to sometimes remember some of the questions that I get when I'm lecturing. Things like, hey, how you end up collecting all of that. It was actually easier in that way because I had many years to collect everything I know. But regardless of that, it was a pretty intense and painful experience at times. I have a book coming up and we'll highlight some of that and why I say that that was particularly tricky for me. Um, Part of it is one of the reasons why I can sit still. But it is interesting. Now, two things changed my path. I was a developer for 8 years, and I started noticing that the people that I learned from, the ones that helped me to improve my skills, and at that time was pretty much basically on development. Um, were not coming up around. So the people that from my generation were not seeking the same level of knowledge. A lot of a lot of tooling came out, code generators, yes, they were still a thing. Like 12 years ago, maybe more. Or things like no code platforms where you drag and drop things and things magically worked or really did. Because we like to customize. Abstraction is a very difficult skill for two reasons. We like to complicate things, it requires a lot of knowledge, actually, three, that I think about it. Um, and the third is everyone likes to customize. So once you get onto that task, you keep adding things into it, which usually leads more complications. But I digress. That was something that I noticed. People were not into coding. We had a lot of IT personnel saying, I'm on systems. I don't need to code." Um, you don't need to. You should, because it will help you a lot. These days you have tools like Ansible and stuff. They can help you a lot to do things, but in order to understand how those things work, everyone should be able to read code and put a few lines together every so often. But I noticed that there was not something that came on top of everything else. Software houses were dwindling, or nearly extinct these days. Software as a service actually saved some of those projects. Because maintaining an application is pretty expensive. Um, it's an expensive fee and is essentially maintained by juniors. I think I said this already once. That's one of the reasons why applications tend to be slower as you go. Because you need to a senior will do a fix in the following way. It will fix the issue, whatever that is, and then it will optimize the code. The optimization comes usually after a refactor, where you fix one, two, three bugs within um, the same vicinity of the same code base, and eventually that refactor will optimize things, will make things more resilient, and take care of any edge cases that may come up when you're interacting and trying to get something fixed. A junior will put a condition on it and lift their arms and say it's fixed. That's basically how things go. Over time, usually code gets a bit messy and slower and so on. This is one reason, but it's not profitable. When as a service, you actually have more grip on it and have a steady stream, as I said in the previous video, in order to improve things. That requires seniorship was something that I was not finding, or was really difficult to find. And I find myself in a similar situation right now. We've been through a heavy recruitment recently-ish, because it was a very extended period. And I came across a pretty weird and worrying situations. People with a very interesting path, experience years wise, but the knowledge was somewhat superficial. There are a lot of things that I might think as the origins for that. The lack of time, the fact that everyone is after the next buzzword, which by now is pretty much every year. So it used to be like once every 2 or 3 years. Now we have every year we have release of something, and with the AI, they're pushing that thing everywhere and anywhere. Because truthfully be told, no one really knows where that will be a good fit. So we're essentially throwing things at the wall and see where it sticks. We also know that it's heavily unoptimized, and that I already talked about on the AI video. But you need the initial set of features in order to sell something, and eventually figure that thing out. If you're following that path, like a path where you have something that you really know that is cool, but you don't really know where it fits. A good example of that was Splunk. It's an amazing product. When it came out, everyone was like, "Why do you need it?" It's like I'm not seeing it. These days, it's crucial for a lot of environments. It's bad for SOC. It's basically half of the job done. Um, but the knowledge base and the depth of knowledge is I see it decrease, worryingly decrease. Initially, in conversations with colleagues and so on, that's a natural thing. That's your perspective over things, and you probably know too much already, so you're pushing too hard on it. But when you start to interact and you will look around, you can see things adjusted. One of the things, there were two things that changed my course of, actually three, path on my professional life. One was a pen test that happened on one of my last applications where it was struggling to get a message across. And a pen tester came and blew that thing up. I found it really cool and funny because at the end of the meeting, I had every budget I wanted to get that thing fixed, which was what I was trying to get in the first place. So I understood that maybe I'm not, I don't belong here. And the second thing was, do I have what it takes? And this is a question that many of us do ask, right? Do I have what it takes to do whatever? You can fill that blank with pretty much anything. Um, and so I embarked on something that everyone said was crazy and difficult. And if you do that, you have a shot. Not that a lot of people say, hey, you do this and you get a job. There was not it. And I don't think they created that with that idea. So I put myself into what to do OCP, and if I pass the exam first try blindly, I think you have a shot. No, not that's not an exam on knowledge, because when you're doing a pen test, you're relying on a lot of people. So if you have a problem, probably have colleagues. You can make a call, make an interaction or two, throw a few balls back and forth, and eventually figure that thing out. And get your way out of things, or eventually take note of everything and work it on a lab and see if you can find your way around that particular issue or topic. No, the idea was, do I have what it takes to manage all the requirements to succeed here? And that was being able to choose a number of topics for me to improve on, work on something that it's really on the clock, will completely different from development, right? Because in development, it's different. You need to deliver something, and if you in consulting, no one delivers things on time, with a few exceptions. I mostly was able to be on time with 1 or 2 days off. Rarely went beyond that, but a lot of projects went off like by months to be accepted into production. So, but this is a completely different ballgame. You need to find as many things as your capabilities allow to with a given amount of time, and then have your mind at peace when you're delivering something. Like, I'm pretty confident that there's nothing too critical that I've missed. There will always be things, right? And in order to have that peace of mind, I decided to make that. And it was also a good way to evaluate my level of knowledge. How much far off was I from the real field? I managed to pass the exam in first try, which was something that helped my confidence. I was actually needing it because I was basically a senior. I was managing a huge team of developers, and I was basically going on I was taking a chance on something that I didn't knew about. I really enjoyed it. I loved it, but I didn't know about. So I spent a great deal of time, actually my entire 8 month vacation, studying and working on my way to the lab. And every time you made them question, everyone would send a link to a picture saying try harder. Um, Focus. Um, get in, Look at the information carefully. Focus on acquiring the knowledge and understanding things instead of where's the shell, how do I get admin, which is something that we get a lot questions about, and one of the reasons why I say that we're all the geeks, right? You don't want to find or know about the million ways of getting your initial access in, or how many ways you can get root, or how many ways you can get privilege escalation. What you want to know is why those things happen. Because understanding why will actually help you to find new paths, understand the ones that really understand past issues, but also help you out to make seek new ones and potential locations where things may lie. Um, More or less automation in mind. Let's exclude that from the equation right now. And that alone is a lot of time. That alone will lead you to a lot of time. Reading things, understanding systems, understanding why those options were made, and the whole history of mitigations and how they went and changed things across time. We don't see people interested in that anymore. We see people interested. Okay, so what are the steps to evade an AV? This year, these are the steps. You do this after you do that, and do that, and you should be good for a week, right? And then that issue gets, and then that technique gets pinned down, or the way things are made is pinned down, more accurately described that way. Things are not that clever on AV sides. There's a pattern behind everything we do. And that's essentially what is being traced right now. So, and then since you don't understand the reasons why those options were made, why that path was laid out, why you do things in that particular way, you're left wondering, so what do I do now? Right? What do I do now? I need to find a new technique, so I need to go and search someone else's technique, and maybe that will work. Um, that was described in the past as a cookie recipe, and something that was shamefully used in the beginning of things. Um, so a lot of people are saying, "Oh, things are being pinned down so fast right now," and with AI picking up, pen tests are going away. See, the AI, if that model was made by humans, we are yet to create something that is perfect. It might be really fast, but if you automate your kill chains, then you can be as fast. It's not about it's not about um, it's not really about proving your point. It's about retracing something that may happen. If you're inclined in that way, I just like to see things blow up for fun without risking getting in trouble. That's basically how I got it here. Got involved in this. I also have the opportunity to promote a lot of change, and this is another thing that makes me enjoy this field so much, and helps me to get enough motivation to dig deeper every year to find new things or to go deeper on things. Not that there are many new things to go about, right? So where are the geeks? I don't know. I don't know where they are. I think everyone is too focused on getting getting stability, financial stability in their lives. I think companies are pretty much are really heavy on layers at times. I've been fortunate enough to be able to run away from that early on, and actually helped me by a lot because I met. But well, one thing about geeks is they usually stick together, and they most of the time they really don't like confusion. So small companies, small good companies, they're small and nasty or shady companies all around. But small and crafty companies that do interesting work, you have a chance of learning a lot. Um, and I was fortunate enough to be around a few early on, and that allowed me to choose my paths going forward, and lucky enough to be able to land in cool places most of the time. But that will allow you to have some focus, choosing the topic, going deeper on it, find a middle ground, and then, okay, I might take a break from this topic, go on something else, and go pretty deep on it, understanding, have a few questions that I need to be clarified. And then in a middle way, you might find something that, I think there might be something here. You might end up finding something cool in the process. And it's got this is mostly how know people that do research or find cool things go about. They poke around something they're trying to learn how it works, and eventually they find something interesting out of it. Um, that's one side of things, right? Everyone's too focused and and has too much pressure on. We need to get cool reports. We need to find other ways to get in. We need to do this or that faster. So you need just figure it out, and just forget about the time that one needs to improve itself. You don't improve yourself while doing regular work. You improve yourself after that. So I don't think we have as much of that. So in that sense, that changed the mindset. That showed me what it takes. What do you need to do? Because part of it already I was already accustomed to, right? I was responsible for a huge team. Someone would call me, hey, we have this problem, that project, we need to get that thing fixed. Um, I would read entire manuals overnight, 300-page manuals in a single night. Work on a few exercises, sleep 1 hour and 1 hour and a half, or half an hour at times, and be on the next day, be there with most of the knowledge that I needed to fix that thing for good. So when I say we're all the geeks, I mean those people. Reaching a point where you read a particular topic, and you can rely on past experience to make sense of the big picture, see where that falls in, and where the issues may lie. That's what I'm talking about. There are other side of things which are making things particularly difficult, right? Environments back then were a lot more open. We had a lot of open source. We had a lot of customized things and infrastructure on premise. Things were a lot different back then. These days, the cloud changed a lot of things in the sense that you're not allowed to touch or test a lot of stuff. We all know that behind the scenes, a lot of people are taking the chance, right? Um, some have bug bounties and you can play with it. Others, not even that, but still, when you're in when you're in range, you can hear a lot of interesting things coming from those, and it's to be expected, right? There's no single perfect piece of software there. So if anyone is seeking to getting into any technical field, just don't look or seek for anyone that tell you, hey, IT will disappear or AI will take everything away. or this side of IT will eventually disappear, because that's not what everything's about. What everything's about is understanding what you like to work on, right? If you like to put code together, be really good at that, right? But really good at that, right? So good that you can find flaws in AI, or you can optimize code that was stitched together by AI. Because you need to remember one thing: it's that thing is not creating anything new so far. There are a few LLMs that are getting pretty interesting results, but they're stitching things together that they know about. So they have that thing is part of the knowledge base that they have. They're essentially making a picture, creating a new picture based on composites of a lot of other things, which is something similar that we do, right? But we adjust things in line. We make adjustments to things, or some of us do, right? And so to be really good at that, and then expand. Like if 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 you're having fun, it's cool. But any tech with any technical field, you will need to spend an unknown number of hours to master anything, and this is a big unknown. You might go faster, you might get slower, you might be able to read a lot of pages in a short amount of time, but only memorize half of it, which is usually my case, and then recall small parts of it where you will need to figure out based on context, maybe go back on that particular point of the book and have a clear vision of that, and then work your way out. Or you can work with some of the people, work in the ways that I know some people that do, that read an entire book in a short amount of time, and they can almost recall every single entry on it. So that will depend on you. Regardless of that, that is to be expected. That's part of the journey. That's how you learn. Making a lot of mistakes, the frustration that comes out of it, and everything else that we usually saw when OSCP got really popular, was basically because it stretched everyone's mind thin. You need to be really ready for it. You need to prepare yourself mentally and your internal organization, your flow, more than anything else. Because if you break most of the lab's machines, you had a good grip of what could happen in the exam or any pen test, by the way. So I think that is part of the process, and we should all aim for that. If you're not really into that sort of let's call it pain, maybe a technical field is not for you. I usually joke around saying that a lot of us came to IT and a lot of technical fields because they like to play games. And I have friends that are within that circle. Some of them still play games, and there's nothing wrong with it. The only thing I keep hearing from everyone within that realm is it takes so much time to do this, or it should have been done in a different way. Why is this so hard? Why everyone keeps using that technology instead of this one, which is way easier. And part of the answer to some of the questions they're asking themselves or asking everyone around is there's actually a reason for it. You're just not technical enough to understand it. And if you try to explain it will go off on you, get really, really fast at times. So if you want to really get into that, I would say go for it. Spend a lot of time on it. Play a few CTFs, which is a blessing these days, because back then we don't have CTFs. we had other ways of figuring our stuff out and testing our skills. More risky though. But CTFs are pretty cool. They won't teach you much. They will allow you to basically compare your level, or how accurate and fast you are at doing something or understanding something, while compared to a lot of other people around. You'll get better at it. We'll get practice. You will optimize things, but you won't learn. You will see cool things, but you won't learn much. Learning is about getting a lot of the details about something, understanding why that issue happens in the first place, why something made that choice when it implemented something. That's basically how things go, right? Why do we still have an TLM? Who knows? So yeah, I would say that pressure and focus too much on cash instead of the knowledge might be it. Um, I don't think I have anything else on this topic. This is rambling for this week. So next week we might try something different. I'm actually refactoring my lab. My home lab is going through a heavy. I don't know how heavy the refactor will be, but I need to rebuild half of my machines. So there will be some Ansible videos going forward. I might do something around coding. It depends on my willingness to release some of the stuff I have in there, code wise. But there will be a few Ansible things and lab refactoring videos coming up. I hope. Will be different. Still learning how to edit video, but let's see how that thing goes. Kevin, you have a topic you'd like to see or questions you'd like to make around? Just leave in the comments. I'll see if I can answer them. Till then, see ya.